A collective committee meeting of City Council. It's April the 7th. It's about 23 minutes after 7. For those of you that are watching from home, yes, we're starting late because our Economic Development Committee ran over. In fact, you might have been able to hear it. I'm not sure. We're going to, before we start with Mr. Shamir, I have an announcement to make. There was an error in the newspaper, the Lorraine Journal. It listed the candidates for at-large going to a primary in May. There is no primary in Avon Lake for these at-large candidates, just like there is no primary in Avon Lake for the Avon Lake Regional Water candidates. And for those of you that are techies and you want to know why I'm saying that, it's out of our charter section 62, which is titled Nominations and Elections. And it states, if 3 or more candidates file petitions for an office other than the office of council at large or the office of member of the Board of Municipal Utilities, a primary election is going to be for the others, all right? So I wanted to get that out because we have some of the candidates here, and I've received a number of calls today from residents who were confused by it. At this point in time, we're going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Shamir. He's the chair of Communications, Environmental, and Recreational Programming Committee. Mr. Shamir.
On the agenda, we have the Avon Lake Play Space Project Phase 2 contract, which we're going to discuss and then pass to move to council meeting for next week's approval. So I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly.
Thank you, Councilman. And thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight to talk about the Avon Lake Play Space, Phase 2. If anyone's been out there right now, you can see Phase 1 is under construction, even though we've had snow today. So I'm excited to update everyone on the progress of this great play space. So we did have a bid opening on March 20th, where we had a competitive bid process opening as per the Ohio Revised Code. So as per the Ohio Revised Code, the city advertised for public bids for them to receive bids. They did receive two bidders that were responsive, that provided us the bid guarantees, the license to do business in the state of Ohio. They had provided experience as well as financial conditions and examples of their work on previous contracts. Those two contractors were RJ Platten and Northeast Ohio Trenching Service. Both of those companies are based in Ohio, in fact, Northeast Ohio. Based on the submittal from RJ Platten, they were determined to be the lowest and most responsive bid. And we did, as per the Ohio Revised Code, create a very exhaustive, very open, competitive, unit-priced bid of all of the materials and equipment that are proposed in Phase 2, and I'll go through that proposal. We had approximately 6 types of playground vendors that provided options for the different play features in Phase 2. So we did try to make this as inclusive and open as possible to get the most competitive prices for the city with the best amount of play. And again, I will go through the final equipment price, the final equipment. And a couple of things to note on the bids is that you do see a couple of items here that have no price, and because we did provide competitive pricing for multiple playground vendors, each one of the responsive general contractors, RJ Platten and Northeast Ohio Trenching Service, were allowed to have provided substitutions to us prior to bidding for the pieces of equipment that were the basis of design in our plans and specifications. And so they did, and some of those play features, as we'll go through, were actually combined in the selected RJ Platten equipment. So that's why you see some of those in there as zero budget. So I'll go through some of the Phase 2 play items. Those play items you can see here are outlined in brown as they are laid out. As we move forward through the process, the next stage after award of this contract to RJ Platten would be for the manufacturer of the equipment to provide final drawings and stamped by an Ohio engineer for the structural capabilities of the sails here, as well as the playground equipment, and also to provide final colors, shapes, and renderings. So our job here is just to provide you some existing pictures of the final playground equipment from the manufacturer that RJ Platten provided. So in the toddler play space, we have gliders, as well as tot swings, as well as a climber that you can see here, which provide great playability in the toddler area. This is the only area where we do have poured in place rubberized surface, and we do have mounding in that poured in place surface. To respond to our last discussion that we had before we went out for bid with council, we did ask for a modified dog-eared fence. That's this white vinyl fence that doesn't have sharp edges on the top, and that does go around the toddler play space. The main toddler play area structure from Burke Manufacturer, which is located in Wisconsin, has great playability for toddler areas. And again, this is the toddler area, which is anywhere from 0 to 5 years of age. And so they're lower to the ground. They have multiple climbing areas, places where kids can have different textures. And then also, really interestingly, we have a tot area. Other playground manufacturers actually had that separate, so that was identified in separate line items in their bid price. Going up into the east area, we have a fun merry-go-round. So this actually does spin. So if any of you remember those merry-go-rounds when you were kids that made you puke, this is great. This does that same thing. Only it is ADA accessible, so someone from a wheelchair can scooch onto this and also puke and have fun. Underneath these two great sails, which will provide great shade, but also provide really interesting views and color to the play space, is a musical, sensory, multi-generational play space. So this is where grandma and grandpa take their kids to make noisy areas. So you don't have to buy noisy toys for your kids. Okay? So what we have here is the Freedom Notes, which is a number of chimes, and yes, there are that many, that will be placed underneath these sails, as well as the dulcimer mushrooms and these flowers. I've installed a number of times. They're so much fun for kids to bang on and have a good time. And then for us parents and grandparents, we do have seating underneath there, which that seating will be black, so that it can get a little bit warmer during our cold months, which is 6 months out of the year now. And then on the east side, so this is a custom piece that Burke came up with as an alternative substitution for our basis of design that we had identified from another manufacturer. So this actually, and I'm gonna get up a little bit, and I apologize if I'm gonna hit your foot. So that, because I'm just so excited about this playability, because this is a custom piece and we don't have the three-dimensional view shed or video of it, I want to describe this to everybody. So these towers on either end are actually 8 foot tall. So you can, and they have netting underneath there. So there's not stairs. You just climb up there like a kid. And then these are actually attached with hammock-type rubberized surfaces, so you can run super fast between the two towers. And and then my power goes out on my presentation. Sorry, and it locked. Okay, good. 1 second. Sorry. I will make sure to move my mouse every once in a while. As you can see, that structure is pretty large in this area. So a little bit lower than our other structure I'm going to talk about, but so much super fun. So much fun to be able to play around in this as a kid and as an adult too. Then behind that structure, again on the east side, we have swings. Swings are super important because that is really one of those all-purpose things that you can do at any age, is swing. And we do have accessible swing sets here in the back, as well as a circular swing here. Our basis of design was a little bit smaller in footprint than the preferred set. So we actually, for the circular area, for the circular swing, it actually is more prominent and nicer and larger. Again, I think I'm going to have to plug in. I apologize. Thought I had enough power. And then between that large customized play structure and the swings is an inclusive play area where we have in the basis of design, we actually had a simple teeter-totter. This actually is a nice complex teeter-totter that you can be on by yourself. So it makes it fun, or you can be on with two people. And then additionally, in our basis of design, we called out for a lower structure than what they have had suggested here as a substitution. But this structure provides actually more inclusive play, as well as more tactile sensory panels in it than our original basis of design. And then here is actually another merry-go-round piece that allows for a different type of play area between that large custom structure and the swings. As we travel over to the west side, again, this is more in the 5 to 12 range. The east side was more in the 5 to 12 range, and then we have the toddler area, which is very close to the shelter here. So this 5 to 12 play space here allows for another overflow area behind the big structure. So it has a lot of slides, it has a lot of climbing, and it has opportunities for kids to have a little bit lower of a play area compared to the big structure, which is this big structure. This has 3 large towers that are super tall that you will be able to see off of Lake Avenue from over the mound that is being constructed right now in phase 1. So those 3 tall structures, you can see that they have this really neat area for kids to climb through to each of those play structures, and they have multiple areas for kids to look out. So you can actually look over here and out of this structure here, and you climb up all the way to there, and you can see over to Lake Erie. Super fun. If they actually settle down for 5 minutes and want to look at Lake Erie instead of yelling to their friends, "Hi, I'm here." So this great play structure, again, with 4 cool slides, will be colorized as per the colors of, apologize for that, as per the colors of the Alps Renewed logo, which are in the browns, blues, greens, and yellow, orange color, which is harmonizing with the outdoor spaces that you do see here around the play structure, where we have phase 1. We have this wetland that the city service director and team have installed as part of phase 1 to control our stormwater for water quality and quantity before it goes to the Hyder ditch. We also have phase 1 here, which is, if you've been out there, you can see the walls that are informal seating being constructed now, and then the AstroTurf 4-season sledding hill is being installed right now. And then also, what you do see but don't see is this 15-minute loop walk. So this walk around the entire play space is actually designed to be a quarter mile. A quarter mile is approximately a 15-minute walk for most people. And the reason for that is that, sometimes you just need to take a walk from your kids, right? So that's what the 15-minute loop walk is. And as the other spaces that we don't see in phase 2 are the challenge course, the Alps area, and signage, and art piece. And those pieces we're looking for donations as well as additional grant sources for that. So we did get 2 grant sources from the state of Ohio for this project, and those dollars are being used in phase 2. We are already under construction and have done a lot of construction thanks to the great work for the service department that you see out there today on phase 1. And that will be finalized in May of this year. So we're finalizing the construction with the contractor and for the athletic turf, and then the city service department will come in and after that and ensure that the turf is all nice and hold down for phase 2 to come in and be installed right afterwards. So right now we're in the bidding of phase 2, which is March through April. We are hoping to get under contract and under construction in May with ribbon cutting in December, which it feels like December today. So we are still donating and having a donation fund campaign. So if there are any potential donors out there for pieces of equipment, Erin would like to talk to you about that. Some additional questions that we did get from the committee on Wednesday of last week, I'd want to make sure that I respond to in this presentation. So as per the Ohio Revised Code, and remember, we have to follow the Ohio Revised Code because we not only are a municipality, but we also were awarded 2 grants from the state of Ohio. So we do have to follow the competitive open process bidding for the state of Ohio, per the Ohio Revised Code. So we did review both of the bidders for that, and RJ Platten provided some really good references that I just want to mention. So last year, 2024, they did complete the City of Cleveland's Back to Basics playground. They also completed the City of Cleveland's Glendale and Forest City Parks. And the Back to Basics playground was $8.1 million. The City of Cleveland, Glendale, and Forest City Parks were a construction dollar of $2.2 million. The Maslin, the John Carroll University Boiler parking lot, and then the City of Beechwood Recreational Facility was $1.3 million, completed in 2023. And the list goes on. And John Carroll Tennis Court Facility, $1.8 million. So this is a construction company that does have the experience as required per the state of Ohio Revised Code. A question was asked about the wind loads and loads as per the sales. So we did provide in our drawings a pre-manufactured sail piece. So that is the blue structures here, the tent-looking items. These pieces are actually designed by the manufacturer and warranted by the manufacturer. All of the equipment is designed and warranted by the individual manufacturers, therefore reducing the liability of the city of Avon Lake for those things. There was discussion on if there were schedule delays, because we do have a number of weather issues in our wonderful state, including snow and ice. I'm sure we'll all have ice today. So it does take some time from May to approximately June or July for those pieces of equipment to come in and get purchased by the construction contractor. So there is that delay. The great thing about the design, and the reason why we designed this as instead of one big play space, as individual equipment pieces, that when this large piece comes in, the contractor can install it right away and not wait for every single piece to come in. The previous ALPS design was inclusive to every other piece, relying on every other piece to be installed at the same time, so you had to install everything all at once. This design allows for delays based on things that we cannot control, such as weather, or as we experienced during COVID, shipping delays and procurement of equipment from other places. There was also a discussion on long-term maintenance. The great thing about procuring the equipment from manufacturers is they do provide a scheduled maintenance, a maintenance schedule, and then also provide the services of playground inspection for safety annually to the city. So at the end of construction, the contractor, the general contractor, RJ Platten, will provide to the city the material testing and information for maintenance and operation of each one of these playground items. So John will have to keep that on record, print, electronic, PDF, whichever, so that he can have that information in perpetuity for the lifespan of that equipment to know how and when to maintain that. Did I miss anything, sir?
There's one more item that came up, and I'm not sure if you may be able to answer it and someone else from the administration. It was the project cost for original versus what we have today and the scope differential.
Yes. So, Councilwoman, I think you mentioned that the original scope that the city had identified when it was a design build before COVID, I want to say, 2020, something along those lines, was $750,000.
So, if I could, when we first started talking about it, it was going to be $500,000, and as the public added their interest into it, it was $750,000, and it has grown now to where it is, and it is a much larger, more complete, if I could say that, an exciting design that we have before us. And it's something that down the road can be added to. I think that you hinted to it about the adult exercising, or
Yes.
Perhaps there's going to be a hospital that could donate equipment there for adults. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, right, Mr. Fatch, for people to put their name on it, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
How much were those two grants?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So the State of Ohio State CAP grant was $350,000, and then the city also received an ODNR NatureWorks grant for
Just over 69,000.
just over $69,000. And I believe the city will continue to apply for grants. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So tell us some information about the lighting and security.
Oh, yes,
Thanks.
thank you. So the lighting is throughout the design, and so we have,
If you could stay at your seat, because they're not able to hear you
Okay.
when you get up
sorry,
on TV.
I moved,
Thank
sorry.
Thank
So
you, Kathy.
in the center part of the walkway, going through both the east and west side, we do have overhead lighting on poles so that the lighting can be, safety lighting can be on both sides of the east and the west side. And then for the loop walk, we do have solar powered bollards for that. And that light is lower powered. I've installed that in a number of places here in Northeast Ohio. Solar does work in little bollards. They are not shining the lights of big spotlights, but rather they are really nice beacons. And if you'd like to see some examples, they're in Cuyahoga Falls Rain Garden Reserve for about 15 years. Been installed there.
On the solar side, are they going to require sunlight, or can they be charged in minimal UV environment?
These are totally solar. They do require 3 hours per every 48 hours of sunlight. And that is the reason why we are using them as bollards, not as overhead lighting.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a little bit concerned about this. You know, as you stated, this project started out at like 500,000. And at this point, I see that the bids that came in actually were 131,000 over the engineer's estimate. And then they took off some things that were included in the engineer's estimate. And this project's gonna really need some oversight, because I see these costs getting out of control. And who knows what change orders might be found or anticipated in regard to this project.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to answer that.
Well, I wasn't quite finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yet.
I'm sorry.
So as I was indicating, I mean, 131,000 over the engineer's estimate is quite a lot to me. And on top of what we already had started this was gonna be, so thank you.
If I may.
Oh, yes.
So the 130, when you look at the 10% margin, so that's what I had looked at. But I will turn it to you too, if you don't mind, to answer that question.
Thank you. As per the Ohio Revised Code, bids that are no greater than 10% shall be considered responsive. As part of the bid, each of the bids, each of them we asked for an allowance of $100,000. in each of their bids. So that was a given price for them to put into their bid, so that if things do happen, and there is an act of God issue, that we can utilize, the city can utilize those items. However, it is a unit price bid. So if there are, as per the Ohio Revised Code, we are enabled to modify the unit numbers that go in order after construction or after award of the bid, so that we can modify those dollars to fit the units that we need to have for this project.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I understand all that, but, you know, it said that it's 7.72% over, but that's, then you took out all these other items that were included in the engineer's estimates. So this thing was bid $133,000 over the engineer's estimate, and I just, again, I would indicate that this project really gonna need to be watched, because I know how these contractors can come up with change orders and request price increases. Thank you.
I would second that. With strong project management is required for any projects, but I mean, especially this. And please go ahead.
And yes, on that, we are providing support services to the city during construction to help the city's team to make sure that the contractor who is responsible for delivering the project as per the bid documents on schedule and on time does do that. The items that we did remove or non-perform were, we had an allowance for boulders that were aesthetic. So as a team, the city and us decided that the boulders were no longer needed if they didn't need to be, since they were just aesthetic. The engineered wood fiber mulch purchased in place if authorized. So during the pre-bid meeting, after we put out the drawings and the units prices for bidding, we actually had an on-site pre-bid meeting with all the contractors who were interested, and we went to the existing site where the city has their pile of engineered wood fiber, and asked all of the bidders to review that existing mulch pile, and each one of them said, you don't need to buy additional mulch. Your mulch is good. So we feel that we non-perform this item because we feel we do not need it. Based on that. The tree protection fencing, the service director felt that he could do that, one tree protection fencing, and save the city some dollars on that. The log balance beam and the nature play log stepper, when looking at the design substitutions that RJ Platten and the other contractor, the other construction contractor provided, which were pre-manufactured wood and rock pieces, aesthetically, we decided as a team that we would like to use the city's existing large tree stumps and tree material that they have stored in their yard over a period of years. They are massive, large trees that have been taken down in the city due to disease and utility confliction over the years, and they are an extremely educational, wonderful pieces of nature play that we would like to install aesthetically in here rather than putting in fake wood and fake rock. And that was the reason for those.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, that's all stuff that you had in the initial engineer's estimate. So you didn't take it out of the engineer's estimate, which would move the engineer's estimate down to 1.635 or so. So I'm not sure why they're so easily taken out, but again, I would reiterate that we need to have some good oversight on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that there's another topic we needed to discuss, because the public, when this is opened, they're going to visualize that they want it to be complete, and there is one section that's going to have to wait till next spring, and that has to do with landscaping. So the beds will be prepared, you'll be able to define where the landscaping will be, but we're going to be doing it in-house. And if I could, for a moment, toss this down to our Public Works Director and have Mr. Liskovac discuss what they can do in-house, I think it behooves us so the public has a concept of what they're going to be seeing.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that segue, like you mentioned, this was an area we looked at that we could provide a value add and to try to manage costs with the project in addition to some of the other items that have been discussed throughout the whole development. But it's an area that would provide a significant savings because we can purchase materials at wholesale pricing. We're not incurring markups and all the other stuff that comes with having a contractor provide that. So that's just an area I looked at that our team has the skills and capabilities. We have the resources to locate all these details and to be able to put that in the spring as the weather breaks to be able to wrap that up for the project.
Mr. Shamir, do you want to speak about what will be happening in a few weeks before they start with a ceremony? That maybe Mr. Mayor wants to speak to that?
I think Mr. Mayor, should be touching base on that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat exactly what?
In a few weeks, we're going to have not a dedication, but a ceremony to dedicate.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, we'll make some gold shovels, and we'll have a kind of an opening day for the project. Hopefully, upon completion of the phase 1. Yep. So we'll be getting that information out as we have a better time and date for that.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, Mr. Shamir, on this topic?
No,
Thank you. Any questions by the rest of council? Seeing none, thank you. We're going to move on now to Mr. Arnold with Economic Development Committee.
Thank you. I have one item up for next week. It's the Job Growth Incentive Awards for 2024. Probably over the last, I think it's around 10 years, we've had a jobs growth incentive plan for all the businesses in Avon Lake. Basically, if your payroll is above what it was last year, we give a percentage of that payroll back to the business. Just to remind the public, if they have 1 year of growth, we'll give back that on that particular growth, we'll give back 35% for that 1 year. If they have 2 years, it goes up to 45, 3 years, 55, and 4 years and beyond is 65. And that's just for that compared to the payroll they paid the previous year. So this year, we're lucky enough to give out over 100 checks in the amount of over $200,000. I will say, although that's a lot of money, we also took in roughly around $1 million in additional payroll income to the city. That's something that obviously the city needs to provide services to the community and to update the roads and replace roads. But it's a great incentive and give back to the companies that support Avon Lake. Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, what is the intention for this?
I'm going to go
the
2
council
readings
meeting?
on this.
2 readings, okay. And I'm going to go, thank you. I'm going to go backward for just a moment to Mr. Shamir. What is your intention on your item?
Emergency passage so that we can meet the project completion targets.
On the first read?
On the first reading, yes.
Okay, so first reading. Thank you. And then, Mr. Arnold, it'll be 2 readings, and that'll be emergency passage on it?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Arnold on this topic? Seeing none, okay, we're going to go on now to Mr. Cos. Thank you. Public Safety and Health Committee, Mr. Cos.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. The first item I have is not on the agenda, but I wanted to mention this first. This past Saturday, there was a rally at the corner of Walker Road and State Route 83. And it was rather large, and by estimates of the Avon Lake Police Department, there were nearly 2,000 people that attended. Anytime you have a political rally where people are coming together, on whatever side of the issue you are, there's a potential for problems to arise and emotions to get the better of them and things to happen. But the organizers, the local organizers of this event, reached out to me and asked that I mention this today and thank Chief Molnar and the Avon Lake Police Department, specifically Lieutenant Jim Valensek, Sergeant Ludwig, and Lieutenant Tibbetts, who were a part of that initial planning stage of helping to put all this together to make sure that everybody would be safe. And I think that is the key thing on that, is that it was a safe rally and everybody went home safe and sound. So I wanted to give a shout out to the police department and thank them for their involvement this past week.
Thank you. I think there's a second part to that too. When you have a lot of people together, right, there you can have maybe some gum papers dropped or what have you. So I just want to also thank the Public Works Department because the site wasn't that bad actually, and it was cleaned up and presentable right after,
Yes.
even during the rain.
Thank you. All right, so the next item I have on the agenda is a resolution in support of House Bill number 3, school bus safety. So this is an item that came out of the last Public Safety and Health Committee with a 3-0 vote. The state is currently considering House Bill number 3, which is a school safety bill. And Dr. Rudy Breglia, who is a familiar visitor and speaker to city council meetings, has been a strong advocate for school bus safety and school safety overall for a number of years. And he did a presentation for the committee, and he talked about this House Bill number 3. And I'm going to talk about the key provisions of this bill. It establishes a school bus safety fund, which would have $25 million available. And of that $25 million available, some of the things that that money could be used for would be external school bus cameras, crossing arms, lane departure warning systems, electronic stability control, lighted crossover mirrors, and other technological safety enhancements to also include seat belts in the school buses. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Also, enhanced penalties for violations for those that illegally pass stop school buses. Public education initiatives, which would continually update and inform the public on the proper procedures for passing school buses and school bus safety. And designation of a school bus safety month, which would bring all of these campaigns and slogans and ideas together to reinforce the safety component of it. I feel like the city of Avon Lake has been a leader in this statewide, and I am glad that the state is taking up a lot of these things at the state level. We passed a lot of these things about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think the city should be very proud of that we led the state, or one of the leaders of the state in this. Specifically when it comes to the the safety seatbelt issue, I want to mention that this is not a mandate in this bill for seatbelts to be on school buses. Rather, it provides a fund that if a school district wanted to have seatbelts on their school buses, they can apply for this fund to cut into the cost or spare the cost to have the installation of those seatbelts done, or to purchase a bus with the additional cost in that with the seatbelts installed. So it's not a mandate at all. It allows the schools to access money to have seatbelts on school buses if they so choose. So all of these provisions in here, while a number of them, like I said, the city of Avon Lake has already put into play, I think it's a great idea that the state now is following up on this and really pushing this statewide. And I look forward to bringing this resolution to encourage that the state of Ohio pass this House Bill resolution, and that it go into effect as soon as possible. So we'll have this up for 3 readings, and I hope to have the first reading by next week, if that's all right, Mrs. Rossmarin? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I appreciated Dr. Breglia, and I believe he's also going to be coming in and giving us regular updates as we move forward.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Ms. Gentry.
So I'm not sure how normal it is that we do school business in council, and so I was a little bit uncomfortable with this resolution, so I called 2 of the school board members just to find out what their thoughts were on this program, because I know that we had talked about Avon Lake having school bus seatbelts at one point, and it wasn't well received by some. So I was hesitant to go ahead and vote. So I wanted to talk to the school board to get their thoughts on this program. And they said because it's not a mandate with the seat belts, that they were supportive of passing this resolution. They didn't see anything in there that was an issue. So I just wanted to make sure that I had spoken to the schools, because I didn't want those lines crossed. So
Thank you very much. And part of what the educational part is going to be is that Bluebird offers free 3-point seatbelts now in their buses. And Bluebird is one of the manufacturers that the schools do use. Thank you for bringing that up. Any further discussion? Thank you. Mr. Cos, you have another item.
Yeah, the next item is the Medi-Count EMS billing. And this, again, was an item that came out of the last meeting with a 3-0 vote. It's been 5 years since the city of Avon Lake has adjusted the billing rates for their EMS billing. And Chief Betts made a presentation to the committee, and he brought forward some of the rates that our surrounding communities have for the same type of billing. And it was clear that the city of Avon Lake needed to make some adjustments to remain competitive, or to remain similar to what the other, competitive isn't the right word, similar to what the other communities have in their fee structure. So we have a copy of that in the packet. I won't go into all of the numbers on it, but it talks about the adjustments to the basic life support, which is the BLS, which is increases that, the advanced life support, transfers the advanced life support to transfers, and the mileage increase as well too. So we're going to go 3 full readings on that. Again, the documents are in the packet. If there's any specific questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll have 3 full readings to discuss.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cos on this topic? Mr. Cos, the only question I have is that on the form that at the top it says Medi-Count, this one, sir? At the very bottom, it says revised 3/31/2022. I am believing that that's the date of when the form was created and not when the data was pulled. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm almost positive of that, but just, I'll clarify that. But
Just
yeah,
wanted
I'm
to
almost
make
positive
certain
that's
because they
that's the
did
form.
not date at the very top. They left the date, sir? They left the date open up here.
Okay.
So I think that they need to submit one with a date on it.
Sounds good. Will do. Thank you very
Any
much.
further questions from anyone? This is a good program. Thank you. Do you want to talk about the benefits of what happens to that money when it comes to the city of Avon Lake? Mr. Cos?
I'm
Talk
sorry?
about what happens to that money when it comes to the city of Avon Lake.
We put it back into the safety forces.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, your next item.
The next item is the Trans Systems Traffic Impact Analysis, TIA Southeast Quadrant. So this is an item that we've long talked about. We've had a number of discussions regarding conducting a traffic study on the southeast portion of the city of Avon Lake. Specifically, this came about with concerns with the Hanford and Liberty Rose areas. And we decided to take a look at that entire area over there and do a more comprehensive traffic study. As mentioned at the previous meetings, we contracted with Trans Systems. They will be the ones that will perform this traffic study. And last week we received, after all of the feedback, Trans Systems had the representatives into our town hall, and also the subsequent safety committee meeting where they answered questions from the public and also from the committee and council. And they took all that information and they were able to put it into the document that we have with us for discussion tonight, which is the proposal. So there's 2 parts to this proposal. And the first part of the proposal is the basic services agreement. And that's pretty much what it is. It's the basic services that pretty much everyone understands would be a part of this study, and almost unanimous consent on everything on there. And in a moment here, I'm going to ask the mayor to comment on the basic services and give us a summary on that. And then when he's done with that, we're going to go into the second part of it, which is the, what do we call it?
Authorized services.
Authorized is it authorized tasks? Authorized tasks.
Authorized services.
Authorized services, which is basically an a la carte. We wanted it broken down based on the comments that we heard from members of the committee, from members of council, from members of the public that brought forth ideas. So we kind of, we broke those down by individual one-off topics, and we would consider those one at a time. So and we also have a cost associated with each one of those. But we took everything that was brought forward, or as much as we could, and we put it out there. And hopefully by the end of tonight, or within the next few days before the agenda is released on Friday, we will have a comprehensive and agreeable document that we can get good for this traffic study that will make, will hopefully give us the answers that we've been looking for a long time. So I want to turn this over to the mayor to talk about the basic services and kind of give us a summary of what's there.
Thank you. As Councilman Kaz said, this is being done by Trans Systems. Trans Systems was picked as a result of a request for qualifications that went out. We had several companies that do this type of work submit proposals. They were chosen. After, as he indicated, we had discussions internally. We had a town hall. We received a lot of feedback over this time period from residents who, many are here, and I thank you for showing up. So the project overview, again, this is a traffic study that is bordered by Walker Road, Lear Road, and Krebs, in the area in between that. And it was initiated by the fact that there is additional development occurring east of Lear Road, north of Krebs, and south of Walker Road. So the study will include traffic data collection, trip generation, traffic reassignments for multiple access scenarios. I'll describe that in a minute. Intersection capacity analysis, related technical evaluations, and a written summary of all these findings. Recommendations regarding which roads to barricade, if any, will be determined by the city. That will not be determined by Trans Systems. And the recommendations related to turn lanes and intersection traffic control will be recommended by Trans Systems. Trans Systems subcontracts out to Smart Services, and they're the ones that will be setting up the video cameras that will actually be doing the vehicle counts. This is about a 4-month process from the time that we receive, or that they receive written authorization. So if this goes to council next week and it is passed on a first reading, then they would get written notification on April 15th to start the project. So the basic services total amount, and I'll describe what it is here, is $134,550. So that's the cost of the basic services that I'm going to outline. So the first one is traffic data collection, and we're going to be doing that at 17 different locations. And these will be turning movement traffic counts performed via the video as indicated within the study area. This will be done at AM peak and PM peak. Mm-hmm. The intersections, and I'm going to read them out just so we have them on the record. There's 17 of them: Walker and Lear, Walker and Portside, Walker and Southport Drive, Walker and Treeside, Walker and Parkside, Walker and Brennan's Court. And Brennan's Court is the eastern terminus of the study area. Then we have Krebs at Lear, Krebs at Lakeside Drive West, Krebs at Lakeside Drive East, Krebs at Dell Lane, and Krebs at Hunt Club Way. And then we have Lear Road at Country Club Drive, Lear Road at Deerfield Drive, Lear Road at Dorchester Drive, Walker and the Bridgeside Drive, Long Point Drive, Lear Road at Liberty Rose Drive, and Lear Road at the Hanford-Teasel Court intersection. So the first 14 of those that I read, which skips out the last 3, which I'll go into a little more detail, are for 4-hour periods in the morning peak time, which is generally, I think it's 6:30 to 8:30 in that area, and then the 4-hour period around the afternoon peak, which is generally 5 to 7. So that's 8 hours total for that, for those first 14 areas. This will occur on a typical weekday, which is usually a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I want to note too, in the proposal, they note that our police department provided them traffic counts for Lear Road over a period of time from our radar sign, and that sign indicated there was very little variation in the traffic volume counts throughout the week. So a Wednesday was a Tuesday, a Friday, and there was very little variation between the number of vehicles per day that passed that point in a 24-hour period. So the data collection will be limited to vehicular traffic. Pedestrians are not included in this basic service package. Locations 15 through 17, which is Walker, Bridgeside, Long Point, Lear, Liberty Rose Drive, and Lear Hanford Boulevard, will be counted for a 12-hour period. So a longer period of time will be counted for those 3. And that will be 7 a.m. to roughly 7 p.m. The next part, besides the traffic data collection, is trip generation. And this is the predictive portion of the study. Trip generation will be performed at an estimate future number of, or will estimate the future number of additional trips to be added to the roadway network based upon the full build-out and the conditions in the area. So we, as a city, will be providing them with the site plans for all the areas, which will give them the number of dwellings in that area, and they will include those in the trip generation. Next, we have the traffic reassignment capacity analysis. And this is where we're looking at 4 scenarios over these 17 different intersections. So along Lear Road, there could be a need for constructing left-hand turn lanes, specifically from Country Club Drive to Liberty Rose Drive. And we're looking at 5 intersections along that Lear Road section. Multiple traffic analysis scenarios will be studied relative to whether Liberty Rose Drive and Hanford Boulevard are open, or whether they're closed, or whether one open and one closed. So all those scenarios will be in this base bid. And those scenarios will be based upon the fact that Liberty Rose at Portside Drive will have left turn restrictions. And we may go into that in a little bit further, but in December of '21, the site improvement plan showed a no left turn on Portside onto Liberty Rose Drive as you're going northbound. And that will be assumed to be the condition as they do the predictive modeling for that section. So specifically, the scenario with both Liberty Rose Drive and Hanford Boulevard open will be analyzed. The scenario with both Liberty Rose Drive and Hanford Boulevard closed will be analyzed. And then again, with Liberty open, Hanford closed, and vice versa. And again, if there's an option here that if there were no left turn restrictions at Liberty Rose and Portside were removed, there's an option that the council could choose to say, okay, we're not going to do that no left-hand turn, and therefore there'll be additional traffic. There's an option to study that if that was to be the case, and then, again, that's optional. And the city will provide signal timing for our lights at both Krebs and Lear and Walker and Lear as part of that study. The next section will be signal warrant analysis. This will be at 3 locations with different scenarios for each one of them. Liberty Rose Drive and or Hanford Boulevard at Teasel Court intersection with Lear Road, satisfying the criteria for signalization, as well as Walker Road, Bridgeside, Long Point Drive intersection. And again, those are those last 3 that we had talked about. The warrant analysis for the Liberty Rose Drive and Hanford Teasel Court intersections at Lear Road will only be evaluated for scenarios where those streets are open to through traffic. So we will not analyze them if they were closed, because it's clear that if those are closed, there will not be a need for a signal warrant at those locations. And all the signal warrants will be based upon a 12-hour data. So additional considerations, there'll be a qualitative assessment of this conducted, such as emergency safety services access, school bus routing, and other input provided by city stakeholders during the early stages of the development. We will not, the study will not evaluate the need for or effectiveness of traffic calming within the residential subdivision areas. So traffic calming within that will not be considered. And then they will prepare a summary of findings. And they also have a schedule for meetings and coordination of the projects. They're going to have 3 in-person meetings, one of which already took place on March 18th, which was the town hall meeting. And then we'd have another meeting with the city as they got closer to the completion of the data. And then there would be a 3rd meeting, which would be a presentation of the final studies to the city and the city council. So that is all the base services. And then I think Mr. Kaz is going to go over the if authorized tests.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the if authorized task, or as we've been calling it, kind of the a la carte. And this is where I'm going to need feedback from my colleagues here, if not tonight, then definitely over the next couple of days, to let me know what you're comfortable with, what you can do without. Do you want all of this in? Do you want some of this in? I'm going to base what I bring for first reading and the suspension of the rules based off of the comments and the feedback I get from all of you. So it's important that I hear back from you, if not tonight, over the next few
And
days.
so, Mr. Kaz, we're going to need to have the deadline for that. You need to have
Thursday.
Comments by
Thursday.
at noon, so that
Yeah.
Mrs. Ross Marin has time to do what she needs to do.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So,
Thank
talking about each one of these, there are 7 additional a la carte items on here, and I'm just going to read the title on them, and we can go into the specifics if anybody has any additional questions on it. The first one is the signal warrant analysis expansion to a 12-hour traffic counts, additional locations. And there is a cost on all of these. I'll read the cost as well too. $19,200 total, or $1,600 each, up to 12 locations. We talked about, the mayor mentioned in the base that those were 4-hour counts, and then there was the expanded count on those few streets. This would expand up to 12 locations for 12-hour traffic counts. So it would give 12 hours for 12 additional areas as a part of this study, not just the 3 locations that the mayor mentioned in the base summary. The next one, number 2, is the additional weekday traffic counts, $10,700. We were talking that this was going to be a one-day traffic count on those areas. We can add additional traffic days. Up to 2 additional traffic days is what we can add, and that would be $10,700. So I know that was a comment that we heard from some residents, that one day wasn't enough. They wanted to see multiple days to see if those numbers changed. The third one, Saturday traffic count, $15,425. Again, this was an item that we heard from residents, and that Saturday traffic should also be counted as well too. That is on here as an itemized. I'd like to hear the feedback from the council on that, on what they would prefer. Number 4, bicycle pedestrian counts at Lear Road, Hanford Boulevard, and Teasel Court, $1,050. Number 5, cul-de-sac traffic counts analysis up to 3 locations, $10,525 total, or $4,625 for the first intersection and $2,950 for each additional intersection. And the locations on that, I think, are important. I'll read those. Hanford Boulevard and Yeager Court, Hanford Boulevard and Brush Drive / Schiller Court, and Liberty Rose and Monticello Drive. Number 6, safety analysis, $3,900. This would, just to give a little bit on that because the title doesn't tell you a whole lot. It's to perform safety analysis of the Lear-Hanford-Teasel intersection, looking at crash data over the last 3 years and making recommendations for multimodal considerations at that intersection. Multimodal is another term for bicycling and walking and such. Pedestrian traffic. And number 7 is the supplemental traffic analysis, up to 2 scenarios, $7,000 total, or $3,500 each. And this is what the mayor referred to in the base summary, that if this selection is included, it would look at eliminating, well, if not eliminating, but if the left turn was eliminated at Liberty Rose, those numbers could be counted as well too. So those are the 7 a la carte items. I'm going to be sponsoring the legislation, so I think it's only fair that I kind of tell you where I'm leaning on a couple of these. But before I do that, I want to say that this has been a long process, and I don't think anybody's going to get everything that they want on it, and there's a cost to everything as well too. But I probably won't get everything that I want in the study. Residents might not get everything they want. Other members of council might not get what they want. But I'm committed to what the majority of this council wants to put forward. I'm going to vote for. So I'm going to support it because of all the work and that this needs to be done. So with that being said, I'm only one person. So if the 2 items that I mentioned are supported by the other members of council, I'm still going to vote for it. I'm not going to let 1 or 2 items that I don't approve of change my mind. I think this needs to be done. I think it needs to be collaborative. So there's some give and take on this. So the 2 items that if I were to look at removing something from this, it would be the one would be the Saturday traffic count of 15,425. We've run traffic counts through there with the speed signs, as the mayor had mentioned, that the police chief has. So for a one-day weekend traffic count, I think we can get numbers that we could use, that we wouldn't have to spend the $15,000 for that. I do support the multiple additional days, though. The Monday through Friday, we can add those 2 extra. I do support that, but the Saturday, I think that using the numbers that we can get from the speed signs on Lear, I think, give us a pretty good indication of what's going on there. That's one thing. The second item that I am not supportive of is the number 7 supplemental traffic analysis, because that calls for a scenario in which the vote in 2021 could be reintroduced and reconsidered. I know that was a contentious vote back in 2021. I believe it was 4-3 is what it ended up passing. I supported it. So this is just me talking on this, and I would support it again if it came up. So I would not support that number if it meant that we had to go back and revisit that issue. In my opinion, that issue is done and complete. But again, like I said, this is a collaborative effort, and I look forward to hearing the comments and suggestions from my colleagues and bringing something for passage next Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any comments at this time? You can always reserve your comments with him in writing and send them to him by Thursday of this week, by noon Thursday this week. Looking to my left, looking to my right, Mr. Shamir.
Just going through
The extras?
if authorized services, I have to agree with you on number 7, Mr. Koss, and but when it comes down to the Saturdays, I would think that there would be anomalies, especially seasonal anomalies, that we would get on Saturdays as kids come out of school and people get out to enjoy the weather, soccer games, baseball games, and the movements probably will change. And then the other thing is, the bicycle pedestrian count would again be a seasonal derived issue. And if we're going to look at it effectively next week, I don't think we're going to have much of a data. But if it's something that is going to be in June, July, I think we will have a totally different perspective. So these are things that I would comment on. Thank you.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, if I can just follow up real quick on what he said about the bicycle data, or the part of it. The other part that I think that we should also remember about that is, first off, I agree, you'd like to do it when activity is at its highest, but having the study done, that's why I would like to see it remain in there no matter what, is if we were to apply for a grant for an RRFB or some other traffic control device, the first thing they're going to say is, did you do a study? So just having that as a part of this study, I think qualifies us for things down the road that could improve in that area. So thank you for your comments, though.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak at this point? Okay, I think the rest of us want to continue in writing. One thing that I will say, Mr. Cos, from my standpoint, I agree with both of you that number 7 should be taken out because we have gone through so much processing back and forth with planning and the council that would be like opening up Pandora's box all over again. And we've already been there, so I have no desire to open that one. As far as the cul-de-sac traffic counts, a cul-de-sac is at the end of a run, and I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to think further personally about it. But off the top of my head, I can't see that being part of it. I think it's important, as you have said, with the bicycle pedestrian count, looking down the road as to what we're going to be doing. The Saturday traffic count, this is supposed to be done before school is out. And the Saturday traffic count, I personally could take it or leave it. The additional weekday traffic counts, we've already been told by our data, there's no difference if it's a Monday or a Friday or a Thursday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I'm not strong about that, but if the rest of you want it, I'm not going to argue with you about it. The signal warrant analysis expansion to 12-hour traffic counts, add locations. I personally don't see a need for it, but I do see that to be responsive to the residents, I think we need to do it because this is what they have been asking for. And I think that this shows that we have listened to their comments. Ms. Gentry, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did want to make a comment. The cul-de-sac threw me off as well, but until I looked at the next page when it's talking about Hanford and Yeager, Hanford and Brust Schiller, and Liberty Rose and Monticello. So I think because of where we're looking, I think the residents were very concerned about those three
Okay.
streets, so I would support that one. I also, the additional weekday, because of the information provided by the police chief, I'm not supportive of the extra day. The Saturday, yeah, I don't know what our data says. If the data says it's different, then I would support that, but I would like to see what the data says.
Thank you. Anybody else at this point? So this could be further discussion. And then your intention, Mr. Cos, is to have this be suspension of the rule and emergency passage on the first reading?
Suspension of the rule, passage next week, and I look forward to hearing from everyone and bring me your comments and your feedback.
So we can get going?
Yep.
Okay, very good. And give me a moment so I can put this away. Okay. All right. That over there. Anything else, sir?
You know what, Madam Chair, one last thing, and again, really, that's, just want to reemphasize that, as far as I'm concerned, I think that the mayor as well too, the base is the base. That's, the comments that we're looking for is on those additional tasks. The base is kind of set, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Right. Mr. Mayor, anything else to close out? this
No, I think
discussion?
the only thing, and I don't know if I said this or not, but the final cost, if all authorized services were included, would be $202,350, and would go down from there depending on how many of these you would want to eliminate. Thank you.
Good point, thank you. Anything else, anybody? David? Mr. Cos? Okay, we're gonna go on now to Public Service Committee, which I chair. And the first item is purchase of snow ice package from Henderson Products through National Purchasing Partners, that's known as NPP GOV. And we've mentioned it before at the last CCM, and it did not come to the council meeting. And the reason it didn't come to the council meeting is that there needed to be additional investigation into NPP GOV because we have not used them before. They've gone through legal, and we're going to be going forward with it. We need to put this in because we need to be in the streamline for producing this. So when the chassis that we passed last week is made in 4 to 8 months, and they're in line, that this can be assigned to Henderson to complete the order. Is there anything else that you want to mention, Mr. Leskovec, on this one?
So, I mean, it's listed as snow and ice, but obviously it's all the stuff that takes a cab chassis and turns it into a truck that we can use, not just for snow and ice, but for when we're doing road repairs, hauling materials throughout the city, and other tasks too. So it's just not one purpose driven.
Right, good point. And it's for $126,588. Anybody else have any comments up here? Okay, so the intention is to have that be first read. The next item, to amend what we did last week, to amend 2570, which was the purchase of the chassis cab from Rush Truck Centers, to include, are you ready for this? Shouldn't be news to anybody, to include the tariff that's now being charged through the state of Ohio ODOT bid in the amount of an additional $3,900. So ordinance number 2570 needs to be amended to indicate the tariff that they just told us that we're going to be hit with of $3,900 additional. Anybody have a question up here to the right, to the left? Mr. Leskovec, anything else on this one?
No, other than it's a provided provision in the ODOT contract that we're piggybacking off to pass through.
Okay, so that'll go through first reading, so we're back in line. Okay, the next item, we're in need of purchasing an additional 5-ton chassis and body package from Rush Truck Centers through the state of Ohio ODOT bid. That's just like the one that we had authorized last week. And we have received, as of April the 3rd, new pricing on it that is including the $3,900 tariff. And so the final price on this will be $112,980. Do I need to add the 3,900 to that, or is that already added?
No, that is included in that
That's
price.
that's what I thought, just want to make sure. Any questions on this? 'Cause it's gonna have to be emergency passage, suspension of the ruling. Can you explain why, again, we have to get it in right away?
Sure. Well, two things too with that. So I think as all council knows that we had budgeted for one truck for this year. This is an additional unit. When we presented budget this year, we had 4 vehicles that were in service that after going through the winter season and doing inspections on the vehicles are no longer in service. So there's obviously a need at that point to start to replace those those vehicles that have been permanently pulled from service due to age-related issues. All vehicles that have been pulled from service are anywhere from 25 to 30 years old. So just a little background on why we're asking for an additional chassis this season.
Right, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Liskovic? Seeing none, okay, we're gonna move on to another one. So last week was a busy week for Mr. Liskovic. He also received a notice from the state of Ohio that we as a city needed to pass a resolution in preparation for the ODOT road salt contract that is awarded this year for next year. And their deadline is May 1st. Well, the month of April, we have 2 council meetings. We have a council meeting next week, and then at the end of the month, we have a double meeting. We have, because of Easter, we have a work session, we have a CCM, and we have a council meeting. And 2 days later, they need to receive this particular resolution. So the administration recommended, and I agreed with it as council president, that we should have this be suspension of the ruling emergency passage on the first read to get this into the works. And Mr. Liskovic, this is an annual process. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, as you stated, yes, it's an annual process that we participate in along with many other communities throughout the state of Ohio, leveraging the purchasing power that the Ohio Department of Transportation has for the acquisition of sodium chloride for winter operations. So with that, it then comes the couple things. There's there's a range that we can purchase. They ask us to submit what a 100% ask would be, which I am proposing for the 25-26 season to be 2,000 tons is going to be our request. And then of that, they give us a range where if you have, say, a leaner winter, you can reduce your request down to 85% minimum. Or if you have a heavier winter, you can actually go up to 115%. So that gives us a 300 ton swing either side of that. The data used to kind of base this request based on 24-25 season usage, which was approximately 3,500 tons. And then we also have just over 3,000 tons still on hand. So that still puts us in a really good position moving into the next winter. And additionally, looking at we'll be actually getting into the brine process, the liquid application. So I feel confident not having a full ask for basically what we use this season and seeing what we have going forward with that.
And we have room to store it?
And we will have, and the beauty of that is we'll be able to start using what we have going into the season and then reloading as the winter goes on. So we'll be able to keep it all under cover.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Liskovic? Okay, seeing none, move on. Okay, the next item is Planning Commission with Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, you have several items.
Yes, thank you. Should I go up to I want to show a couple of the maps.
However you want to do it.
All right.
Thank you. Is this going to be overhead?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
please.
thank you. We'll have it ready for you. Would you mind moving over a little bit so he has room to come around? Okay, it's good? Okay, thank you.
first thing that we have here that was approved on the meeting by a 4-2 vote is the rezoning of the area around where the old Burger King is and the BP. If you look, this is where the BP is, the old Burger King, which is now a Mexican restaurant. Some businesses here, including the dental. This is the law practice, this business. But this is the property that they've asked to be rezoned. I think the more interesting map with regard to the rezoning is this one, which covers these properties. As you can see, this property is currently zoned B2 here in conformance with the comprehensive land use plan, and the property to the outside of it here. I don't know if everybody can see that. Maybe I got to zoom in a little bit. Can see the red line? No, I'm in the focus. Sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. I hit the wrong thing. I want to zoom in anyway. Okay.
Don't
And I'm
hit
gonna
focus, whatever you
autofocus
do.
it.
Don't
There
hit
we go.
focus.
I don't know if everybody can see. There's a red line here.
Yes.
Okay, that's the line that outside of it is the R1. They're asking for R3 rezoning, which would take the area to this entire area to 12 units per acre, which would allow for 144 units. They want to deed restrict or have us put conditions upon the rezoning that would not allow them to have 144 units. It would only allow for 71 or 2 units. 73, I'm sorry. I'm kind of going off memory there. If we rezoned it to R2, it would allow for 60 units to be there, which would have been my preference. And then arrange through variances to get the additional units that they would need. And that's why I basically voted no on it, although I was outvoted 4-2. Mr. Aurelio voted against this as well. It's going to take away some business zoning here and add a bunch of extra. I mean, the units all look very nice, and I don't particularly think that there'd be that I had an issue with 73 units, but I do have a concern if we rezone it to 100 and possibly 140 plus units. Down the road, I've seen things like this in the past happen, and my mind is still open on it. The presentation was basically just upon the zoning, the rezoning to allow for R3 zoning, and you can see this is the area again, a little more defined with the businesses that are here. There's going to need some traffic study. The traffic study that was attached had no left-hand turns coming out of here, which was concerning. But again, we're just talking about the potential for rezoning here, and then putting some conditions on that rezoning is what they would like to see occur. And otherwise, I think that this has been set forth in your packet, and you can see it all yourselves. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Smith? Yes, Mr. Cos?
Yeah, thank you. So the R2, Mr. Smith, would allow up to 60, you said?
Correct.
So I'm sure you mentioned that during your discussion on it. So there was no indication that they would consider the R2 with variances to get to their 73 rather than the 73
They felt, and I would speak for Mr. Flakowski here, that that would be take a little longer than they want to see it take to do that. They have to go through and then end up in front of the zoning board for that.
And if I'm, another question. And I know we'd be getting ahead of ourselves on this, but because the traffic study was mentioned, was there any other discussion on the impact of the traffic there, whether it's 60 or 73 units?
Not particularly, because it was more about the rezoning and not about the actual development of the property. Because they have to, in order to get to development, they have to. I would add too, you might want to notice that there is a bit of the property that they own this right here that was included at first, but that's been taken off at this particular point in terms of what land they have.
Any further questions to my right? Mr. Shamir?
What is the total acreage?
It's a bunch of different lots.
It says 11.8, is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct, yep.
11.8627.
Thank you.
Any further questions to my right? Any further questions to my left? Mr. Arnold?
So are these single-family homes or townhomes?
They're gonna be townhomes, so I think that that he's planning on having all first floor homes, is that correct?
First floor master
Masters,
homes,
yeah.
it'll be situated to be fee simple townhome. It's a residential application, but townhouse, and that it's multifamily attached.
Okay. Can you give me some type of compared to what here in town that you know of? What would it be
Maybe
similar
Tuscan
to?
Village? Or how about
I think that was
across
sort of the point of
street?
the presentation is there isn't the same diversity of product in the city currently. There are 9 units remaining in Tuscan Village, but it will be comparable to Tuscan Village with respect to first floor masters for certain.
Okay, thank you.
And it's 11.8627 acres.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Smith, so would this would need to be legislation, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And would it be your intention, I mean, what's your intention as
My
far as
intention on this one is that we would have the first reading on April 14th, a second reading on April 28th, and there's a requirement for a public hearing as well. The public hearing would be on April 28th, and then the third reading on May 12th.
Any further questions? I have a couple of questions, Mr. Smith. So the question before us isn't the site plan of what it's going to look like at the end. The question is, what's the best use of the acreage, right, that's there? And even though the code says if you're going to go with a B3, you can go up to 12 units per acre. I'm reading from Mrs. LaRosa's Planning Commission results, and she says here, a decision with the condition that the maximum density shall not exceed 7 dwelling units per acre with a total cap of 73 units was decided. So to me, they can't go up to 12. If it were to pass council, this is a rezone, so it's going to have to go 3 readings, as you've stated. If we put into our motion with the condition that the maximum density shall not exceed 7 dwelling units per acre, they can't go over that. They can't go up to 8 or 9, 10 or 11. And when I looked across the street, it looked like Sandridge was just a little over 6 units per acre.
I don't know what Sandridge is.
Sandridge is on the.
I know what it is. I
Okay.
just don't know what the
I
units
believe
per
it's just a
acre
little
is.
over 6 units per acre. When I look back to the past records, so I'm looking at this, and I know that the we call it the CULP, which is the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, has stated that there's 3 focus areas in Avon Lake. One of the areas is 83 and Walker, and that the residentials around that area down the road, which were now the future of when it was created, should be higher density to create more of this walkable community to the businesses across the street at the landings or the town center, how they're going to be redoing that. So this is in compliance with the comprehensive land use plan. Then I went back and I looked at the notes that Mrs. LaRosa put together, and she stated that there was a traffic impact study finding that, and I'm just going to read from it. It says the analysis concluded that auxiliary turn lanes are not needed at either of the proposed site access points, which would be Walker and 83. Because traffic volumes and projected growth do not meet the necessary thresholds to justify additional turn lanes. These findings suggest that the existing roadway infrastructure is sufficient to accommodate the development. Additionally, the capacity analysis of the Avon Belgian Road 83 and Walker Road intersection, currently signalized, indicates it will continue to operate at a level of service C as in like cat, or better through the design year 2036, with the additional traffic generated by the proposed development. Consequently, the company that did this traffic study, the TIA, is known as GPD. They recommend that no mitigation measures or signal modifications are necessary, which kind of blew my mind because the urban legend is that we have a lot of traffic there.
Well, the problem with that traffic study is, one, I don't think it indicated that there would be any left-hand turns coming out of the development. And two, it did not take into consideration the traffic that's coming from across the street at Sandridge. So there's going to be some more work that needs to be done on that.
So the mayor, I think, was going to do another study or check it out or something?
Yeah, if I may. So Pulte provided us an updated traffic study, which did include the 28 units across the street at Sandridge.
That's since our meeting?
Since our meeting, correct. And we have forwarded that to Chris Howard. Chris Howard is going to have that newer study reviewed for accuracy and to make sure that they either agree or disagree with the findings from GPD.
I think that's important to our
That'll
decision.
give us, at least
Right.
the time that we have our 3 readings on it with regard to that issue. It's still, I am just concerned about the guarantees that that this, something happens, and we've seen it in other spots in the city where there was zoning that was set based, or building that was based on green space in the lake that's gone away. So I have some concern over just outright turning this into 12 units per acre around there, particularly in light of the fact that we're losing some business zoning there too.
Even though I'm going to ask the law director, so Mr. Ebert, even if we put a condition on this, says that they can't go over 7, they can still go up to 12?
They have to come back. But yes, the condition would run, but I mean, they'd have to come back for approval.
So future councils, future
could.
planning commissions?
Right. That's correct.
Is that what you're
Yes.
interpreting? Okay, thank you for the input. Any further discussion? Mr. Cos?
Yeah, thank you. So looking at these maps here, it's kind of hard to tell. On, Mr. Smith, the map on your left,
Yes, this one.
yeah, that one. So can you point to where the Huntington Bank exit is on there? So I know that I'm lined up here.
It's listed right here.
Okay, where the arrow is. So where is the historically designated home, which I think is directly across from it? Where is that in the red zone, or is that just to the south of it? Just
It's
south
gotta
of the red
be
line?
It's the first one to the south.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I was having a hard time finding it. Okay, thank you.
Now that brings up a question, and I don't know that the public can hear you on
I'm trying
the
to
TV.
talk.
No, Mr. Filikowski from Pulte. If you could come up here for a moment, I have a question for the developer. The 2 residential areas that would have the biggest impact to them in a presentation that you sent out, and it was sent to council, the homeowner of the historic property, along with the homeowner up on Walker Road, they had a comment about what you were going to do. And do you want to share that comment with everyone?
Sure, yeah, just as a function of community outreach to get an indication of what the immediately adjacent neighbors might wish to see with the property. I went over some of our conceptual plans and intentions with the area that's up for the rezone. And so included in my presentation of Planning Commission on April 1st, I referenced their testimonials. The gentleman that owns the historical home immediately to the south of the project has endorsed the project. He has mentioned that he feels it's a great use of the land and supports the project. The same sentiment from William Hubert, who is to the east of the property. His property boundary surrounds a good majority of our boundary of property. I don't know what that exact percentage is, but he has also gone out of his way to actually write a letter addressed to the Planning Commission specifically to show his support for the project and sees that the vision is in alignment with the the comprehensive plan and the general vision of town center.
And the reason I bring this up is I think it's important to hear what the next door neighbors who are going to be impacted the most are saying about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Any further questions? Mr. Smith, anything else on
No,
this one?
nothing further.
You have some more things in
Yes,
front of us.
I do. What I have next is the vacation of Alameda, which is a property, it's a paper street that the, whoops, I grabbed the right one. Where's my? Oh, there it is, in the back. For all of you, this is where the utilities building is. There's Miller Road up here. This was a paper street. This is the portion that is being vacated to this owner and this owner, which is the utilities department. So it's a vacation and it has to come to council. And my intent on this one is to have 3 readings on it as well. Unless I hear differently from anybody, that's my intent.
Any questions to my right? Any questions to my left? Mr. Mayor, anything else? You were in attendance?
No, I would just say that that's, the reason for the vacation of the property is they're gonna be adding on to their building due to administrative increases, and they need that setback for their new building. Their new addition, actually, it's not a new building, it's an addition to their current administrative building.
That's this part here.
And your intention, sir?
The 3 readings.
Okay, 3 days.
Vacation. The next one I have on the agenda, and I have one more beside that. Ford Motor Company, and we don't need any, there's no councilmatic action needed on this, but Ford Motor Company is putting in a new building in this area, and that building is to handle title transfers. It's basically it's almost like a drive-through. It kind of looked to me like when you go to have your mufflers checked by the state, where they kind of drive through, they change the titles. But I thought since they're one of our bigger employers, it would be important for council to know what's going on, that they are continuing on with additional construction, so that you guys would have an idea of what's going on there.
And Mr. Smith, the notes that we have state that they need to present their stormwater plans, their electrical and their plumbing to obtain their permits.
Right, to the engineering department.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
And then
Anything
the
else,
only
sir?
other thing is that Jake's on the Lake also came to Planning Commission. They're enclosing their patio. It's gonna be an extension of their building. It's gonna look very nice. They're gonna change where some of the deliveries are. It'll keep it in mind, it'll continue to look like a house within that area. And they have plenty of parking, but it's just showing their commitment as well to the city. Okay?
Any questions to my right? Councilman? Lady? To my left? Thank you, well done.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir?
Nothing further.
Okay. At this time, then, we're going to go on to legislation. We're going to look at the 3 readings. We have ordinance number 2552 by Mr. Zuber, who's on vacation today. An ordinance authorizing a donation to the village project declaring an emergency. Any discussion, questions on this one? Seeing none, we'll go on now to second readings. Ordinance number 25-67, I'm sponsoring it, an ordinance adopting the Avon Lake Urban Forest Management Plan. Any questions about that? Amongst my colleagues? Okay. We're going to go on to a resolution number 25-68, which I'm sponsoring, a resolution adopting the Avon Lake Forest Management Strategic Plan. Any discussion points? All right. We're going to go on to ordinance number 25-69, which I'm sponsoring, and ordinance amending codified ordinance chapter 1070.02 municipal park rules. Any comments from my colleagues? Okay. First readings we've heard about. We now come to the time when there's public input on this and any other topic. If you'd like to come forward, come on up. Thank you. We have a gentleman coming forward. Give us your name and see that you're from. Thank you.
Good evening. Robert Baker, Liberty Rose. Regarding the TIA, I want to say thank you for continuing to move that forward. You would have received 2 emails, one from myself and one from Mr. Lever. I've been tasked to take upon with our neighborhood of keeping track of what's coming forth and responding, especially on short notice. We agree that item 7 would not be the best use of those funds, as those issues have been resolved and would be more effective use elsewhere. So we appreciate the consideration on that.
We heard you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else come forward? Sure, come on up.
Good evening, Paul Orlowski, Avon Lake. I have some thoughts, obviously, on the traffic analysis as well as I'm sharing some with some of my residents. A lot of our neighbors are here. Some could not make it. Number one, they thought it was pretty expensive, so probably in some ways glad to see it pared down just a little bit. But it brings up some thoughts too by some other residents. The scope of the study, and I kind of wonder about this as well. Statistically, is mixing of the city data with what they're collecting statistically appropriate? I'm not a statistician. We have some engineers and smart people on this council, but it's just a question that came up, so I said that I would certainly bring that up. Another one is that something that I thought of is if down the road we have to do more studies on the road, does that make this study moot? We're going to have to do a more extensive one sometime down the road. Just a thought and something to think about. The thoroughfare plan is really where a lot of my concerns are. And that, this, as we know, mandates a traffic study, which thank you for that. And it also says that consideration should be given to impacting or disrupting the feel of existing neighborhoods. And I know I've brought this up before. As you can tell, I advocate for Current Village and the folks across the street. When the data is delivered, it's going to be up to council, you guys, to make all the decisions and decide what to do with that data. I hope you don't lose sight of the fact that what you're going to get is just numbers. And numbers can be translated in a lot of different ways, so there are various things that you could consider. The Pulte development and the resulting traffic that it's going to create couldn't be more unlike Current Village and the adjoining streets of Yeager, Schiller, and of course Liberty Rose as well. It's a very quiet area for the most part right now, particularly Current Village. That's why we paid top dollar to live there. Opening Hanford to through traffic would only underscore the obvious differences between those communities and harm us, which could trigger potentially intervention by us. But we've been pretty good at working with you guys and you guys with us, so we do appreciate that. Other possible access points by comparison in both style and structure of the housing kind of fit hand in glove with what Pulte's got going aesthetically. Clearly, I realize traffic is a concern for anybody that's going to be impacted by this. Another point the police chief has made repeatedly, that he's against a gate on any public street. But there are gates all over town, mostly on private property. There's no functional difference between a gate on private property or a gate on a public street. you press the button, you get through. So functionally, there really is no security concern. There aren't going to be any delays. Somebody having a heart attack on a private street is going to be responded to just as quickly as somebody with it behind a gate on a public street, if that is done. The MOU with Pulte clearly spells out a gate, which Pulte has already agreed and really committed to paying a large portion of the cost of that gate until a lot of way down the road. So given that, I submit that any safety claim delay by the chief or anybody else holds no water. Once again, numbers are numbers, but people are people, and I hope the council doesn't lose sight of people are people. This is what you're voting on, not raw numbers. They can be translated a lot of different ways. So when the numbers are delivered to you and translated by you, I hope you'll consider the people that you're making decisions on. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Anybody else?
Good evening. Ken Yeakel, Mancassuth Drive. Councilman Coss's comments about the fact that we're not going to get everything we want as far as that traffic study is concerned, I just firmly agree with that. And on that basis, I'd like to point out what is most important to the residents, that live over in Current Village and the adjacent area there east of Deer Road. As things stand right now, people that want to access 90 and Route 2 from Western Bay, from West Winds, by the way, there are two streets that come open onto Walker Road, which aren't even included in this traffic study. Windward Way and Anchors Way and Windward Way. They weren't even mentioned, but they also outlet onto Walker Road. But all these people come down Walker now from Western Bay, Huntington Woods, and all those streets. All the streets right now, the Parkside and all the other ones we've mentioned, Treeside, Southport, and whatnot, they come onto Walker, take Walker down, make a left on Lear, and access 90. What we're concerned about is this traffic study, when they determine the alternative routes that they go, all these people now are going to be going down, Parkside or Treeside or Bridgeside and hitting Millside, which is going to connect directly to, it'll be a straight thoroughfare through Hanford to Lear Road. And there's got to be we're looking for a way to be certain that increased traffic flow will be accurately counted and accurately modeled. And I don't know how they plan on doing that because it wasn't really explained. Not only is it the additional houses that are going that they have to take into account for, but they have to take into account people are going to be taking an alternate route, to this new created thoroughfare, which is basically going straight south, making a left-hand turn, and heading west until you hit Lear, and avoiding all the traffic that exists right now on Lear and Walker, that intersection. And that's our concern there, is how are you going to come up with what the true traffic volume is that's going to be funneled now down through Hanford onto Lear? And it's going to be with the additional, even without the additional homes that are in Portside and that are being built, which I don't know is 120 or something like that. It's going to be considerable just based upon the existing neighborhoods that are already there. And so that's basically it. I just want to make sure that they try to focus on that particular aspect and get that accurate as far as what that volume increase is actually going to be. It's all going to be funneled down one road. And now it doesn't outlet now to Krebs because it's such a circumvented route to get to Krebs now by cutting through there. So that doesn't happen. But when it's a real easy one going south, they're making a right-hand turn out to Lear, everybody's going to be taking it. People from Bay and everybody else in east of Avon Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Sir, come on up. Thank you.
Jerry Newcomb, I live on Surrey Lane. My concern is the rezoning of this property on 83 and Walker. It's a very congested area right now. Number of accidents have increased over this past year in that intersection. There seems to be a plan to put in several hundred homes or these town-type homes. One currently going on where the exit and the entrances actually go on to the two-lane part of the road. So you go from 4 lanes down to 2 lanes. Traffic intersection at Weber that has a light, one at the Pin Oaks. The traffic backs up. I think that is a bad intersection that has really no plans to improve because it's improved about as much as you can. And I just think this rezoning this is ill-advised. The one that was currently underway now was done in 2020. And that was done, and then they're just the Sand Ridge units are now being done. And you're now talking about right across the street, the exit and entrance from that property will be actually running into those exits and entrances from Sand Ridge. And I just see that as being a real disaster as far as traffic entering, exiting onto the 2-lane section of road on 83. I just think it needs to be looked at and thought about a little bit more before we open it up to 100 more houses or townhomes or whatever they call it. It seems to be we now try to put as many homes on an acre of land. Fortunately, I live on a 100 by 200 lot, so I don't have to deal with that. But you know, you're putting 5 or 6 of these homes on an acre of land, and all it does is just adds to the traffic on a very busy intersection, probably the busiest in Avon Lake. I've lived here for 79 years, and the traffic has not improved. It is continues to grow, and especially at the 83 and Walker Road. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Pardon me?
Thank you. Come forward. Somebody else?
Hello, Vince Canonico, Avon Lake. I'd like to address the traffic study. There's been a lot of discussion about, you know, what type of analysis should be done, what should be included, the accuracy of the data, and I think that's all worthwhile, obviously, right? But I think it does put the cart before the horse a little bit, right? We need some transparency as to how you're going to make the decision with that information, okay? Because it feels like, with respect to the gate at Hanford or Liberty Road, it feels like you've made a decision and you're looking for data to support the decision, right? You've already decided. If that's not the case, if I am wrong, then I apologize, okay? But tell us how you're going to make the decision. I mean, right now you could say, well, the traffic study shows that there's going to be a significant increase in flow through Hanford Boulevard. Therefore, we can't have a gate. Or you could say, well, the traffic study is going to show that there isn't much of an increase in flow through Hanford Boulevard. Therefore, you don't need a gate. So, you know, you can have it both ways, right? Give us the criteria. Give us some transparency. You know, consult your expert and get their advice and tell us how you're going to make the decision with this data, regardless of how it's collected. Then I think, you know, the members of your community who are concerned about this will think that they were actually heard on this issue. Otherwise, I don't know if they're going to believe that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to come forward? Come on up. Welcome.
Hi, Pamela Schmitz, Lake Road, Avon Lake. I made some screenshots from the presentation from the Manick and Smith group on March 17th. Can you pass those?
Absolutely.
I don't think I have enough, unfortunately, this morning. So I wanted to just follow up on the email I had sent to Mr. Liskovic and the Safety Committee. Again, I'm back talking about Lake Road, from the power plant to the Sheffield Lake boundary there. So my biggest concern after reviewing the Manikin Smith presentation was that this section is pushed out until 2027. And what concerns me is all the activity that's out there now. Now, I come from the West Winds to this part of town. I needed a project, so I bought a little house. In any event, so the first thing I did was I marked here where the entry points and exits are. So we've got, so the power plant development is kind of, we're not sure what's going to be developed. At least I don't know. Condos, retail, commercial, but there'll be traffic. The Beach Park Towers, currently there's that crosswalk light, which you talked about with this Manic Smith group, that you wanted to change that. I have a comment about that. But so then we come down and we've got an entrance and an exit into Lake Road, from Lake Road into the Miller Park. Depending on what's going on in there, when they have those beer festivals and such, it can get pretty active. Then you come down and then you've got the pause, boarding and daycare. Now that's a business. And I don't know what the exact volume is of traffic in and out of there on a daily basis, but I know I take my dog there and it can be pretty busy. And especially at the end of the day when the traffic starts, out of work traffic starts flowing on Lake Road, you're hard pressed to get out of there. Same goes for across the street. Then you have the Miller Road boat launch over there. Okay, that again, this whole intersection there, each of those entry points, the Miller Road boat launch coming Lake Road, from Miller Road, from coming east on Lake Road, those all have left turning lanes. So you're hard pressed. I know Mr. Cost, you had talked about, is this crosswalk down here by Beach Park going to be enough? So if you try to get across the street, not only across Lake Road to get over to the park, if you try to get across Miller Road and you're coming from the south side of Lake Road in the residential area there, you're risking your life, because you've got a turning lane there, people on their cell phones, and then you've got the Miller Road people coming out of work. It's just really, it's very, very difficult. And when the boat launch opens up again, then you've got those folks that are either trying to turn or come across the street. So really at this point, we're kind of unprotected in this whole area. There's no crosswalk other than this one that's way down the street. So I just wanted to add that information to the email that I had sent out, and just ask for your consideration of this information. If there's any way we can push any of this forward, some of the things I had commented in my email before 2027.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any topics? Don't be shy. Okay, all right.
Gerald Phillips, Avon Lake, concerned citizen. I want to talk about something that happened at the last council meeting about the Burns-Ochner fee agreement. You guys totally violated your procedure. It never went to a committee, never went to a CCM or work session, and it never was then put on a regular council meeting. You avoided both of those two steps. Zach Arnold should have called a meeting, should have insisted that would have been at the meeting. The last meeting was November 18th. You just had a meeting April 7th, 5 months. That's just too long. Rob Shamir and Amy Gentry objected to it. Unfortunately, had they known, they could have voted against the suspension of the rules, and then it would have went on for a second reading. But their inexperience, they could have done it. They voted no when it was for passage. What was disappointing is that this procedure was clearly improper, but yet Jeffrey Smith, who I admire, didn't say anything. He's a former law director. I'm disappointed that he didn't speak out and oppose a comment to Mr. Shamir saying, well, thank you for doing it. Well, he should have voted to make sure it went to a second reading. About the traffic study, comments were made, and I think they were appropriate about including Windward Way, anchors, you know, and there's a new subdivision where the park is, and that's not included. And you need to include traffic coming from Bay Village and going to Bay Village, because you have to ascertain which people go to Bradley and which people go to Lear. And until you know that, you'll never be able to do a study on the intersection of Walker and Lear Road. And you should measure twice and cut once. You know, we're going to spend $154,000 or maybe $200,000. What's disappointing is the city's got to pay that. We approved subdivisions for how long and how many years, and not one developer paid for a traffic study. Now the taxpayers have to do that. That's just absurd. I want to talk about the Chatham video, okay, and that analysis. Disappointed that the mayor had it on December 19, 24, and we don't have any analysis of it. You know, I heard that, you know, fiberglass material was being done. Well, when I got my insulation in my attic, the guy who put the insulation in had a mask on. So I think fiberglass is pretty dangerous, and if that was in the air, that's just uncalled for. The other thing about this CCM and work sessions and committee meetings, Mr. O'Donnell would allow people to talk on an item when it would come up. We had all these people, you know, worried about the traffic thing. They should have spoke when it came up on the agenda. You made them wait till the end of the thing. I don't think that's proper. I think it should be changed. The other thing is, everybody gets to put things on the screen, videos, presentations, but citizens can't do that. We can't do that. You can do it, but we can't. The ordinary citizen can't do that. Now, Mr. Zimmerman said that's a violation of freedom of speech. I agree, because you didn't like the content, because he was going to put up on the screen in the video Mr. Shamir's thing about all that material, and you don't want it out. You don't want it out. That's why the mayor has buried that item. This gentleman talked about the rezoning on the southwest corner of 83 and Walker. Our police chief says that is the most traffic accident prone area, okay? I didn't hear anybody say about that. Mr. Koss brought that up, and we had to get video cameras for that intersection because it's the most traffic accident prone area. So why are we rezoning it to a density of that magnitude? It's zone R1. Leave it be R1. It abuts R1. Doesn't abut multifamily.
Anybody else want to come forward on any topic? Anybody else?
William Zimmerman. So unfortunately, a lot of what I have to say will be similar to the things that Mr. Phillips has said. First thing I'd like to know, how much are we paying Keinfelder for their work that they gave today? I'm just curious as to how much money we're wasting for them. My biggest problem here is 2572 that you passed 2 weeks ago. I believe you purposely did it on the last meeting of March. There was no meeting the next week. And then you had till now to even have to worry about it. I called Jennifer on the next day and said all of those things were illegal that you did. It never went to committee. It never went to a CCM. It was never passed on to a regular meeting where a vote would be taken. As I said in my message, you crammed it down our throats. And much to my surprise, I overheard Mr. Smith tell Mr. Shamir as he walked by, "Thanks for speaking up." And as Mr. Phillips states, he's an ex-law director here in the city. He knows those things were illegal. All of you violated your oath of office because you passed the measure. You don't care. I would call you a knave now, Mr. Smith. I don't even know if you know what that is. A dishonest and unscrupulous man. Because you don't have the cojones to stand up and say no.
Speak to me,
That's
please,
why, sorry, I'll look up here because I can't look at you all the time.
Sorry.
It's nauseating. So Mr. Smith had an opportunity to do something righteous. He chose not to. All of you did. And you chose not to. I believe that this is totally illegal and we'll sue you for it. Because I don't understand how you think that it's okay to just do that with legislation when we have procedures. The charter. You guys want to claim that you're a charter city. Well, you're not abiding by your charter. I don't understand that. I have to leave for a family emergency. I come back, I can't get in the door. Thankfully, Valerie was kind enough to come down and let me in. Door was locked again. So we're back to this again. Can't get in. Shouldn't be that hard. Now, in that legislation, it says that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning the regulating to the passage of this ordinance were adopted in open meeting of council, and that all deliberations of this council and all of its committees which resulted in such formal actions were in meetings upon the public to the compliance of all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Codes, which we all know is the Sunshine Law, because that's the one Brownfield Committee chose to break repeatedly. So you guys all did it for this. Didn't have open meetings at committees, didn't have them at a CCM. And Mr. Phillips is right. When Marty used to be the council president, every CCM meeting, we had the opportunity to speak on each and every issue. He would ask, anybody in the audience? And we were given an opportunity to come up to the podium and speak. I believe this is nothing more than an opportunity for you all to try to silence those of us who come to the meetings to speak. Because what you do is you take away another opportunity. You do it on purpose. Just like the meeting that Mr. Arnold didn't have last month because somebody else told him not to. I'd love to know who that person was. It's a joke. People don't even abide by your own rules and regulations. Just like I made an oral request at that meeting for Todd Davis's business records for the last year. It's been 2 weeks. I got zip. Julie hasn't informed me. Nobody's done nothing. And that's your department. Just more opportunities for you guys to screw us over. Looking for information. Public records request. Fulfill it.
Anybody else want to come forward to speak on any topic? Seeing none, we have one. Oh, yes, sir. Come on forward. Your name and what city you're from.
I'm Philip Kalski with Pulte Homes. I just, as a matter of clarification, just wanted to point out with the introduction of the rezoning project tonight, there was a question asked about if the applicant had any thoughts about the 60 units and the process in which an R2 would undergo. The response to that is not accurate to say that our concern is just the length of time that takes. although I do agree rezoning to an R3 is a more efficient way to do it. You know, the idea of going to an R3 was first consulted with city staff, land planning and zoning directors. And under that advisement, we did start to pursue the R3 route for rezoning, of course, with a condition for 73 units, which has also been confirmed through the legal opinion of the City of Avon Lake's law department, that is an appropriate measure to condition the land at 73 units. It would net the same result as going to an R2 with a variance, although I guess I would just state that rezoning a property and then immediately asking for a variance, maybe the council would not like to create a precedence for that if you're going to net the same result. And then it was also stated tonight that Pulte Homes did arrange for an MOU to do with the gate associated with the Portside Phase 3 area. I just wanted to say that we're happy to support in that way for the safety, well-being of everyone involved, and that Pulte Homes trusts and supports the decision of the city about that gate, whatever it may be.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come forward? Well, we have one more thing on our agenda. Mrs. Ross Marin, could you stand up, please? Today is her birthday, and all of us at council have signed a birthday card for her. We wanted to bring it. We appreciate her so much for all the work that she does, along with our deputy clerk. Thank you. Now, you're welcome. Now we are adjourned. See you next week.